Mr. Prime Minister, DPM Theo, DPM Chairman Ratnam, ministers, members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. On March 18, 1985, sometime after 3 p.m., I stood here delivering my first speech during the debate on the budget. I was a mixed bag of feelings, actually. Anxious, pride, of course I was proud. I mean, I've never stood in Parliament to make a speech, and this was my first time in my life. I wondered what others in the chamber would think. I was most apprehensive about one person, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, who was there. Nothing else mattered. I was concerned what he saw, what he felt, and what his feeling was after hearing my speech. I was there where Rohan was sitting there, and PM was there, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. So I stood up and speak. When I spoke, I was looking to the ceiling, looking at Mr. Speaker, looking everywhere except looking at him because I tried to avoid his gaze. But I could feel his piercing gaze looking at me, listening, assessing, and making his own notes. I tried to avoid what was happening, and I tried to carry on my speech, but deep inside me, I was trying to do what I felt he wanted me to do. So I was very, very much relieved after I ended my speech. So such was the impact of Mr. Lee Kuan Yew on me. We had lunch a week before that, actually. We spoke on many things, about my family, how I felt being an MP, how I coped. But he must sense how intimidated I was. And he was extra calm, extra gentle, and he smiled, I think, a bit more. What he said was he wanted me to know, to be myself, to do what was right. Even if no one agrees to me. And he wished that I would not pander to what others thought of or wanted me to be, in the hope that I would like them to like me, to recognize me. Be your own judge, he says. Be honest and be true to yourself. He said politics is a lot about perceptions. Never mind the truth. We have to manage and to deal with these perceptions, but ultimately, the truth must prevail. And it is our job as politicians to make this happen. This was my very first real lesson in politics, and I never forgot that. Mr. Lee expects and demands a lot from those who worked for him. So when it comes to one's work, one's duty, one's responsibility, Mr. Lee was demanding and expected the best from you, be it from a civil servant, be it from a minister, be an MP. But outside of work, he showed deep warmth, deep sensitivity, almost indulgence when it comes to one's personal well-being, one's health, or the state of one's family. Many staff, or many hospital staff, whom I met and who have served Mr. Lee one time or another, spoke of how caring and gentle he was, always asking about their well-being, how their families were, how they were coping. Now, my own description of Mr. Lee was that he was always proper. Now, this single description, for me, somehow encapsulates everything the man was: his sense of integrity and of right or wrong, his discipline, his standards, his vision, and the famous phrase, sense of proportion. Everything must be done right and properly. Nothing was too small or too unimportant for him. Let me cite two incidents that happened during my tenure as Speaker. During the SARS outbreak, I think it was in 2003, everyone who enters Parliament must have their temperatures checked. I mean, the Cisco at the gates will stick something in your ear to check your temperature before you was allowed in. So one day, Mr. Lee and his security detail approached Parliament. Before you reach the gate, this car stopped. Now, the Cisco guards didn't know what to do. No, this was Mr. Lee, after all. So they hesitated, they hid, and they hawed. And Mr. Lee pressed his window screen, and he asked them, "Aren't you going to take my temperature?" He could have given through without being checked, and nobody would have been the wiser. But he didn't, because he knew it was improper for him to do so. Another incident of Mr. Lee's, whom I like to cite, is MPs, as you know, who cannot attend Parliament for the day due to some other commitments, have to ask leave from me, the Speaker, or at least to the Whip. Only Mr. Lee makes it a point to write a note to me every time he can't attend Parliament. He would write in a small, those notepad. "Dear Mr. Speaker, please excuse me from today's sitting because blah, 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 blah." To my recollection, no MP ever does that. To Mr. Lee, everything must be done properly, even the smallest action or even the smaller matter. He once told me, "Dola, a rule is of no use if it's not followed. Might as well not make one." Now, these two incidences might seem insignificant or small to you, but they are not. Many, if not most of all, tailor our actions to what we think others want us to do, especially in public. And this is our public persona. We want recognition, we want acceptance, we want people to like us. But someone like Mr. Lee does only what he thinks is right and proper, whether in public or even away from the public eye, or even in the privacy of only a few persons. That shows the true measure of the man. In Mr. Lee, you see what you get what you see. The smiles are real, not like some false smiles you see nowadays. So apart from those other more significant contributions of his which are well documented, I will not mention. I think Mr. Wong Kan Sing will mention some of them. But what I mentioned, and these to me, is the enduring legacy of the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. So thank you for the lessons you taught me. Thank you for all the things you did for the country. And most of all, thank you for being you. May you rest in peace.